Deputy Asia Director of Human Rights Watch, and he joins me now from Bangkok. Phil, thanks so much for your time for us, as always. What more can you tell us about the living conditions on this island in the Bay of Bengal, and why are rights groups against moving the Rohingyas there?
The big issue is that there should be a technical assessment that the United Nations has proposed and which Bangladesh initially accepted and now has not implemented to see whether this area is actually safe. This is in a typhoon-prone zone. There are concerns that if a typhoon hit, it could be flooded. There are also concerns about well water, whether it's too saline or not. There's issues about access to livelihoods, all these things that have been promised to the Rohingya who are moving to this island. And there's also the need to have the UN Refugee Agency get onto the island and to talk to these actual people and to independently assess whether, in fact, they are there voluntarily. There are some groups that, certainly in the earlier groups, including some of the 300 people that moved there at the beginning of this whole process, who said that they would move there involuntarily. And if people want to leave the island and return to Cox's Bazar to reunite with their families, they should be allowed to do so. But Bangladesh is not allowing that. And Bangladesh, that's the major problem, that Bangladesh is unwilling to allow the international community to do the kind of assessment they need to assess whether it's safe for the refugees to be there.
Right. And Phil, Bangladeshi officials say moving the refugees will help them contribute to the economy as they will be, quote, able to work there. But realistically, what work is there on the island? And do the Rohingyas have rights and access to opportunities in Bangladesh?
That's an excellent question. Right now, there are two sources of livelihoods on the island. One would be agriculture, the other would be fishing. So far, the authorities are not allowing people to pursue those livelihoods. There are questions whether, in fact, the actual soil is too saline or not to practice sustainable agriculture. And people don't have boats; they're not being allowed to fish. So the question is, when will Bangladesh meet those commitments to the refugees? This is part of a larger issue, which is that Bangladesh seems to be over-promising to the refugees that you'll have livelihoods, that this will be better for you, that perhaps you can, go back to Myanmar first or go to a third country. All these things that come with a status of being at Basan Char. But once people get there, they're finding that, in fact, none of that's really true.
Phil, you know, the conditions for Rohingyas in Cox's Bazar were already dire, and now we have this. What more needs to be done to improve the living conditions finally for the Rohingya refugees, in your opinion?
Well, everybody recognizes that the camps are overcrowded and that the actual infrastructure there, which is the government has ensured is temporary. They're not allowing for bricks and mortar, the kind of permanent buildings in those refugee camps that would be required to, create better conditions. They're not allowing that to happen because they're maintaining the fiction that this whole situation is temporary and could end tomorrow. The reality is that the Rohingya are going to be there for quite some time. And even if the government moves 100,000 Rohingya to Basan Char, that's still going to leave 1 million people in Cox's Bazar. So I think that ultimately the government has to recognize that these people are going to be there for a period of time. They have to allow for permanent structures. They have to allow for better access for the international community. And they have to allow people to have freedom of movement and access to livelihoods. Otherwise, the situation is just not sustainable. The international community needs to do more, but it can't do everything. And, the reality is that these people are going to be there for quite some time, and that needs to be factored into planning for their future.
Phil Robertson, I really appreciate your insight for us here at TRT World. He's the Deputy Asia Director of Human Rights Watch.